Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Jared Moon. The Garage Gym Athlete Podcast is a result of my desire to build better humans, unequivocal coaches, and autonomous athletes. I've spent the last several years obsessing over program design, nutrition, and every other way you can optimize human performance. This podcast distills the latest scientific research with what I've learned and blends it with the not-so-scientific field of mental toughness. We are here to build you into a dangerously effective athlete. If you enjoy this podcast, you can find out more about our training at garagegymathlete.com. And if you want to pursue more into the field of coaching and programming, head to endof3fitness.com. Thanks for listening. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here with Ashley Hicks. How's it going, Ashley?
Hey, going good.
And Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hello.
We're going to get to it. So updates. Joe, how's life?
Fine. Yeah, another day, whatever day it is.
Aren't they all just kind of the same?
Basically.
Yeah, I mean, we just had Easter. I mean, I definitely knew it was Easter on Easter, but leading up to Easter, I had no idea. They're like, oh, yeah, happy Easter this weekend. I'm like, oh, yeah. Just there are normally things that start to indicate these things for me, whether it's, my kid's school, a church schedule, whatever it is, but like none of those things are happening right now. So I was like, oh yeah. Easter. Anyway, this pandemic's weird. It's got me all jacked up. All the days it's very much Groundhog Day right now.
Yeah. And no kids. It's even more so.
Yeah.
It's just me and my brother pretty much.
So is that it? Just things are going and you got nothing else.
Pretty much. I mean, there's I didn't talk about this before, but about about 2 weeks ago. So my brother got a water rower here. So I've been using that, which is kind of weird, but it's for a water rower, it's actually pretty good as far as counting the meters go and pacing. When I did like 500 meter warm up rows, they're pretty close to what my normal Concept 2 is. So that's pretty good. It's still like the handle's different and it still pulls feeling kind of different, but pacing pretty much right on. So that's still pretty good to use. And then shortly after that, his girlfriend, who also lives here, got a spin bike, so I can spin again.
That's amazing how you just went from like, I got nothing, I don't know what I'm going to do, to like the people you're currently living with in the interim got exercise equipment.
I just inspire greatness.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You didn't even have to throw down any cash, did you?
Nope.
Yeah, that's perfect.
I bought new running shoes. That's about it, even though the weather's kind of in and out and crappy and weird in Maryland, but crappy for me, that is at least.
Yeah.
What brand did you go with?
I got the same exact New Balance ones that I had before, but just like a newer generation.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because they work great and they fit great.
And once you get a shoe you like, man, like I said, Nanos for me for like how many ever years. And now my running shoes are those Ultra. I don't even know the brand after that, but they're Ultras. And I will probably only order that version every year for running shoes because I really, really enjoy them.
Yeah. And I got new Nanos from the sale you sent us.
Yeah, I got mine in. So that was a great deal. Sorry, podcast listeners, we didn't share that, but Reebok was doing 50% off and it was amazing.
Not sponsors. That's
yeah.
why.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, not sponsored. That's why we didn't share it. Ashley, how's life?
Good. So everybody else just finished Fat and Sugar last Meet Yourself Saturday, and kind of funny about what we're talking about today because my wearable failed me. And
I get it. Interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Anyways, and then I was having all sorts of issues. So I guess my vest was a little too loose.
Your comments after you finished was kind of funny. Yeah,
I was very upset. I definitely got hit in the back of the head multiple times by my vest. And so as I'm doing my power walk for my zone 2, I am trying to tighten my vest as much as I possibly can because I'm like, I will not take this vest off. And finally I had to take it off as I'm walking, hold my vest, tighten the sides, put it back on. And then I'm like talking to my watch because I'm upset at it. And lots of people were outside on Saturday too. So a lot of people thought I was probably lost my mind because here I am power walking with a vest. Like I'm not even running. And then, yeah. So thankfully I was able to tighten the vest down so it stopped hitting me in the head. But I still finished, still went with it. I have no clue what my actual non-penalty burpees were. So I just went with 100 just to, hey, whatever. Might as well just do the work. So that's what I did.
You got it done. And that's, that was an early lesson learned for me in Murph was like, you want the vest as tight as it can possibly go.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to get uncomfortable. Mainly for me, it was when I would run on Murph. Like I didn't want it to like move at all when I was running as fast as I could for a mile. So I didn't run into that problem. But yeah, if it's loose, I could see that jumping all over the place and not being a fun experience on a burpee pull-up.
Yeah, for sure. And my lats are just finally starting to calm down. They were a little sore because with the vest during the burpee pull-ups. And then we're getting some new dumbbells in. I think it's the kind you have, Jared, where you can turn the knob and pull them out.
Is it the Bowflex ones?
It's not that exact brand, but it's kind of like that.
Yeah. I like the Bowflex ones, but they only go up to like 52.5 pounds. And that's my biggest beef with them is because that's heavy enough for most things, but some things it's just not. And so I wish I would have done like power blocks. I think they go quite a bit heavier.
Yeah.
We didn't pay $1,500 or whatever the price gouging thing is going on for that I've seen on Facebook Marketplace for those.
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm not buying any exercise equipment during the pandemic. I'm pretty set. So
they actually had a sale, which is why we bought it. So
nice.
Scott found it online. I think it was like $150 plus free shipping.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, update from me. This one, I only really have one. Well, two. Let me write the second one down. All right. The book, Killing Comfort book. You're going to start hearing a lot more about this. Like I said, I didn't want to announce when the official date was because too many other people had things to do that weren't me. Like if it's me and I'm the only person responsible, or even if it was Joe or Ashley who like were doing it because I know their work ethic, how quickly you guys could get things done, like I'd be more confident. But considering I'm working with people I haven't worked with before in some of these areas, I'm not going to commit to something but they're really close to finish on what they need to do. So it's looking like mid-May. Mid-May is what we're shooting for. And the next podcast episode should have the exact date. And if that got pushed for some reason because of people not finishing things, I'll let you know, but it should be mid-May. Exact date next podcast episode is my plan. So that's a book update. Can't wait to get that guy out to you guys. Second thing, this is pretty recent. This is as of today. So Hunter Mcintyre. If you guys are familiar with Hunter Mcintyre, he, I don't know a ton about him. I know that he's like a professional Spartan racer, and then he competed at the CrossFit Games, but got eliminated very early. So he's not like a pure CrossFit Games athlete, like a Matt Fraser type. He's more of Spartan, who's also really fit and did well at the CrossFit Games or placed at a certain CrossFit Games. He said he's going for the Murph world record on his Instagram account. Some people posted it in our Facebook group just because people know my history with Murph, some of my Murph times or whatever. And then someone actually commented on Instagram, his Instagram account, like, hey, you need to like probably contact Jared Moon because he does Murph fast. And so he messaged me, we exchanged information, ended up having a phone call with him talking about Murph. And he's like, dude, are your times legit or is this like BS? And he was just checking, and I was like, they're legit. And he's like, okay. He's like, I didn't want to like go and do this and try and set an official, because it'd be official world record for him. He's like getting Guinness and everything. He's like, I didn't want to like set the world record and then you just like smash it, a few weeks later. I was like, well, that's my plan. If you go through with it, just kind of teasing him back and forth. He's a really cool guy. And, we had a good conversation about it. It's not like a rivalry or anything. He was just like, he was unaware of anyone who could do Murph really fast. And so he was confirming that, I'm legitimate. And, I don't have it sanctioned by anybody, but I wouldn't mind doing that at all. And so anyway, my plan I've been thinking about it ever since I talked to him. I'm going to let him set it. He will probably take the world record. I'm thinking he's going to hit like, something sub 30. He's going unpartitioned. So that does go a little bit faster. Like all of my fastest times are super partitioned, 20 rounds. He will probably take the world record. I'm going to see. He already let me know what some of his times were for unpartitioned. I'm going to start trying. I'm going to try this Saturday. I thought Murph was over. I'm going to try this Saturday, see what my time is on unpartitioned right now. And if I think that I can beat him, I'll let him set the record. And then this fall, I will try and beat his record if he sets it soon. And if you're like, why this fall? Well,
Texas.
I live in Texas and I don't have a lot of time left before it gets ridiculously hot here. And having done 2 years of Murph every Saturday, I know for a fact once the temperature once it's like 60% humidity or greater plus 95 degrees and greater at the same time in Dallas, I cannot PR in Murph. I can't even come close. Like it adds like 3 to 5 minutes to my time once temperature gets up. And so that would be the realistic, like if I go for it. And so I might be trying to beat his official world record if it happens, which it probably will, but probably not till the fall. And that's if I think that I can do it. And the reason I never officially went for a world record is because of stuff like this. Like I'm not a professional athlete. Like whatever you guys may think, like I get $0 for being fit in this company. Like I enjoy being fit. I enjoy working hard, but everything I do to like facilitate Garage Gym Athlete, Ashley included, Joe included, does not involve working out. It's a part of our company culture, but it's not required. Like we're not professional athletes. I'm not posting my 6-pack or training log on Instagram. Like, and I never wanted a company like that revolved around how fit I was. And so anyway, I thought like if a professional athlete came around like a Hunter Mcintyre, that they would just smash my time anyway. But now that I'm kind of seeing some of his times, I'm like, well, maybe I could. I mean, I only do it. Like he's training hardcore. I'm like, if I started training for it, it'd go back to once a week on Saturday. I'd on the hard to kill track once a week on Saturday. I'm not talking about every Saturday. So Ashley's shaking her head. Anyone listening, I'm not committing to that again. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is about 10 weeks out from my attempt or 12 weeks out from my attempt, I would start doing it every Saturday. And that's the only thing that I would change. I'm not going to change my training program to the Murph training program, but thought I was done with Murph, but maybe it's coming back. So that's my long update about me and Hunter Mcintyre. Kind of funny.
We believe in you. You can do it.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he will work harder. I will probably be smarter about the training.
Is there a like world record currently for Murph?
I don't know if it's official Guinness or if he's just talking about Josh Bridges' time. He said it was like 33:40 is what he posted. And it could be Josh Bridges' time from the games because that was a sanctioned event. There was a judge present. So anybody, even myself included, anything I say is you can't hold it to anything. Like, and that's why he wanted to talk to me to see if it was like even a real thing. Like, I don't know what I would stand to gain sitting around in my garage lying about my Murph times. Like, it hasn't grown the company at all. The only thing that's done is like made my Saturdays suck for 2 years. But yeah, I think it's Josh Bridges. And I know, and we all know, like there are multiple people in the community have beat Josh Bridges' time, not just me. Like a lot of VD, like me, I could pull up a bunch of other people who beat that nearly 34-minute Murph time multiple times in our community. And I think he's shooting for sub 30 unpartitioned. I just still don't think that's going to be a problem. Like, that's why I want to see if he pushes it down to like 27 unpartitioned, I'm be like, okay, well, you got it, man. Like, that was awesome. Good work. But if it's a time I think that I can take, then I will go for it. I'm not competitive in anything except for this. Like, that is truly like the case. Like, I used to be a super competitive person, and then I just stopped one day. I was like, I don't know.
I think we do some of our workouts and you're always last to do it. And then all of a sudden you just like crush everybody.
I'm last to do it because I work out at a certain time during the day. Like, it is what it is. Okay. I'm a recovering competitive person. All right. Well, that was a huge update. Sorry for wasting everybody's time with too much of that, but I wanted to get into this week's study, which isn't one study. It's like, I don't know, somewhere between 10 to 15 studies. We want to talk about wearables, bottom line, because wearables, huge topic of conversation. We get questions every week. We wanted one like epic resource that we could start pointing our athletes to when they join the community. We're just like, hey, go check out this wearables episode. We have a bunch of different studies we've pulled. I could not find any major like systematic review where someone else had already looked at all the studies and compiled information about it. So we kind of did our own, but nowhere to the degree of a legitimate review. So we reviewed a bunch of studies. We're going to kind of give you guys some of our takeaways from some of these studies and what we think about wearables and what the data is saying on wearables in general. And then we're going to talk about what the community says, because we had a huge vote go on in the community. We're going to update you guys on that. And then just kind of give our personal opinions on a couple different devices. So it's all about wearables today. So we're good into the studies first. If you guys want to dive into any of the data yourself, make sure you check out the show notes, because we will have linked every single study that we mentioned and some that we probably might not even mention today. So you guys can jump into them and dive deeper. But I'm really just going to stop there and let Ashley go, because she has some really good notes. So like I said, we reviewed a bunch of studies on wearables. Ashley, what were some of your takeaways from all the studies that we looked at?
So I think I'll give a big overall, and then I'll kind of go into the ones that I just picked out. For later on in the podcast, I can only attest to Apple Watch. So it kind of stayed within the Apple Watch and picked some studies with that. I also picked a sleep one, and then I am a female, so I also dove a bit deeper into the menstrual cycle tracking one. So overall, I would say, I think when you pick a wearable, you have to know why. Why are you diving into this wearable? What is it that you want out of this? And we'll probably dive into that deeper. So that's my overall takeaway from all of these. And it seems that they are beneficial. I will say that. So there's two actually that talk about the Apple Watch that I'm going to talk about. They are talking about measuring your heart rate that is acceptable for patients that had cardiovascular disease. And it came away with the conclusion stating that it was acceptable. So if it's acceptable for patients with cardiovascular disease to track their heart rate, why wouldn't you use a wearable to track your heart rate while you're working out, if that is something that you want to do, especially if you're using zones or doing any sort of zone work. And then the second part I'll talk about with the Apple Watch, it was talking about heart rhythms, and this is more like atrial fibrillations, and it can detect an irregular heartbeat. I know you can see that when you set up your Apple Watch. You can, say, yes, I want to get a notification if something went wrong. And they're saying that that's a good starting line, baseline, if you will, but then to seek medical attention, medical advice after that. So again, it sounds like that the Apple Watch can detect pretty good heart rate readings. So that's what I took away from the couple of studies.
And the Apple Watch, so the Apple Watch does the ECG monitor that you can check for that. But I mean, it straight up says, like, we don't detect heart attacks, like contact a medical provider. They have the disclaimers in there already, but from that study, just like to agree with you, it's pretty damn close. Like, what they're comparing to in all these studies is like ridiculous, legitimate medical grade like equipment, to where you'd have to have like 47 different sensors on your chest, or like, if in a sleep study, like, because some of these are about sleep, like where you have to have all these diodes on your head and stuff. Like, that's what they're comparing it to, these gold standards. And they're still saying, like, in the one you mentioned about Apple, like, it's pretty good, but it's not perfect. And it's like, well, dang, like what you're comparing it to though is insane. So that's still really good.
Yeah. So that's what I took away for that, for the Apple Watch. And then I'll dive a little bit into it, not too much into it. But basically there's this Oura ring that females can wear, and it's a wearable, and it can help figure out, I think the conclusion came out, it was like 83% or 86% effective. That it helps with your temperature readings and can tell you where you are in your cycle. So, am I fertile? Am I not fertile? All of the things that you would want to know. And so with that one, what I like about it is it's kind of a preventative plan without you having to use medicine like birth control, which I think birth control, in my personal opinion, I'm not a big fan about it. So I was a huge advocate for this, that you are able to track this yourself. So that way you don't have to put something in your body that could potentially be harmful. And then the last thing I'll touch on, and then I'll let Joe go, is the sleep. And that has been something I've been more aware of this year. Scott and I have kind of done a huge shift with down regulation without having any sort of devices or trying to limit screen time. And this one was a randomized crossover trial and validation study about effects of wearables on sleep in healthy individuals. And it said it indeed improved your sleep quality in healthy individuals. So what I got from that is, if you are not taking care of yourself in other areas, like kind of what I just talked about, or nutrition, alcohol, but a wearable tracking your sleep might not be as beneficial to you than it would be for someone who was taking care of themselves and wanted to dive in deeper with all that sleep data. So
Awesome. Joe, what you got, man?
So for a lot of these, they're really just testing the validity of all of these wearables. Wearables are basically just there to collect data. And a lot of the studies were just saying, okay, what wearables collect what data, what does the best for what things. And so there was some that was specifically testing sleep, as Ashley mentioned, and how close they get to the actual like sleep monitors, like with all the electrodes that Jared mentioned. But then there was also some that tested different ones like Garmin's, FitBits, Apples, and stuff like that in certain heart rate zones. And like there was one that went over walking pace, moderate pace, and then intensity pace, and then which wearables do best in those zones. So a lot of these are just for the studies, they're seeing which wearables were meant for certain things and which ones could be used for certain things and apply for certain people. So it's not necessarily from at least with wearables, to me, it's not necessarily this one is the end all be all, use this. It's more of okay, what are you looking for? Here are some studies that will be the most accurate, most viable for this, whatever you're looking for.
Yeah, they're basically just, they can't tell you it's going to do anything other than like test the reliability of what they're saying it measures. And that's what they're doing in most of these cases, whether that be heart rate data, resting heart rate data, working heart rate data, sleep, energy expenditure. Like those are the things that they're looking for and seeing what the reliability is for that. And they can't do much else, right? Like what else could they really be doing in a scientific study at least? But that's a good point. You mentioned like some brand names across all the studies we looked at. Like we have studies on where they use Whoop, Garmin, Polar, Apple Watch, things I've never heard of, Jawbone, like a lot of different wearables across all these studies.
Yeah, and all the information that all these devices are going to get it's going to be very subjective to whoever's wearing them and what they want and what they need. So, which is good to see which of these can be specialized in certain areas, like whether it's heart rate, whether it's sleep, whether it's performance and things like that. So it's kind of good in that regard, but it's also, people always ask what wearable we recommend, but it's really, what do you want? What do you need? What information do you want? Think about the information that you're wanting to gather and then see which ones are best at doing that.
Yeah, I feel like you two are kind of on the same page there with that. Like, what's your goal first, and then kind of decide your wearable. So, well, I won't put you guys on the spot.
I love it.
Well, I don't want to go there yet. We will though, probably in the opinion portion. Anything else, Joe?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. What I kind of took away from these studies was some big picture stuff is you need to update your tech. Like you absolutely need to update your tech, because I looked at studies going from 2016 to 2020 and it's hilarious. 2016, they're saying heart rate monitors on your wrist are basically the dumbest thing in the world and they don't track anything, and it's 47% inaccurate 90% of the time. Like ridiculous, like wearables are dumb, 2016. Fast forward to 2020, some of the more recent studies, and they're like, oh, that's within 1% accuracy of reading your heart rate. Like, So update your, like I had a Whoop. I just got a new Whoop. I got the Whoop 3.0. My last Whoop was from 2016. Like that's probably when it was produced. I got it very early, 2017. It was probably made in the manufacturer in 2016. These companies are constantly updating not only their algorithms, but their sensors and everything else. Like if they want to be in the game. So if you have a sensor that's 2 years old, 3 years old, like it's probably not accurate and not as accurate as it could be just from looking at some of the studies. So that's one thing I would say. That's part of the reason I got the new Whoop 3.0, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. So upgrade your tech. Across 3 different things that I was looking at was heart rate, sleep, and energy expenditure. It looks like newer studies are saying the heart rate data is accurate, like pretty accurate. There were some of the studies saying, hey, if it's super high intensity, maybe Garmin and FitBit aren't as accurate. And I think, Joe, you've kind of found out some of that with Garmin stuff. But even with yours, man, like I don't know what model you have. Is it like a 2017 model? Do you know?
It's probably older. It's probably 5 years old or something.
Yeah. So like that may have been completely fixed. So it's hard to even say like that's truly a problem anymore, because some of the studies are saying heart rate data is accurate. Sleep used to be another one. And when I interviewed people on the Better Humanology podcast, sleep experts, they'd say none of these sleep tracking devices are really like worth anything. And now like new studies as of like late 2019 or early 2020 saying things like the Whoop and the Oura Ring are pretty damn spot on for tracking your sleep, even the stages. And so I think people need to make sure that they're updating the information in their brain, because sometimes you get stuck with old, and this is how bro science happens. You get stuck with old information. And so you're like, what I hear every single time we talk about wearables is, and like wrist wearables are trash. It has to be a heart rate, has to be a chest strap monitor to matter. I hear that from everybody. I've never once experienced that myself. I do think that the heart rate monitor on your chest is a little bit more like robust, like it won't drop off at all. But wrist has been pretty good, and the data is starting to back that up. And so again, upgrade your tech and know that it's pretty accurate. So heart rate's accurate. Sleep, like I said, is accurate, but only with those 2 that I really found was Oura Ring and Whoop. I didn't really see anything on Fitbit or all these other things for sleep tracking and Apple doesn't have it either, because Apple doesn't have built-in sleep tracking. You have to download an app, so they'd have to do an individual study for each app, and they're not going to do that. So I don't know the accuracy of Apple Watch's sleep. So sleep accurate, heart rate accurate, energy expenditure acceptable is what I wrote down. Not like the best, but acceptable. Most of the studies came to the conclusion that the energy expenditure, that it's whether that's caloric output for your workout or for the day, was within an acceptable limitation. And again, things that weren't like, I think the Whoop may be the best in energy expenditure because it's never off. It's literally reading your heart rate every second of the day, 24 hours a day. And so I think Whoop might be the best at that. I would love for them to go under the microscope with like a scientific study. But those are my big 3 takeaways. Let me see if I have anything else. Yeah, that's it. Because the rest of my points I want to get into with in the topic, because I get a little bit more opinion based. But it seems like upgrading your tech and make sure you're following this information like this, it all gets better. And sleep seems to be tracking energy expenditure. So if you're relying on like an Apple Watch to tell you how many calories you burned in a day, maybe not. Like it could be close. But what else do you have? Other than that, you're going to have a calculator online to try and figure this out yourself. I'd rather go off some sort of personalized data. You know what I mean? Like, and that my only problem with the Apple Watch is it doesn't read constant. It just randomly comes on, reads your heart rate for a little bit, and then turns off. So yeah, that's it for that. You guys have anything else on the studies? Again, we'll pull all the link all the studies, because if you have a specific device, like they name them by name in these studies, like the Viveo Active by Garmin and the Polar, whatever. I didn't want to dive into each one individually, but you guys can go check out these studies and dive into them yourself if you're like, hey, I have this one, I want to know more about it. So let's get into our opinions of devices and what we're looking to track, because that's what you guys are talking about. So like, what are you looking to track? So why do you wear the wearable that you wear? And each one of us is wearing a different wearable right now. So that's great for podcast. And Joe, you like to go first?
So I am the only one that's worn the top 3 Garmin, Whoop, and Apple.
No. This goes against my point I just said.
What'd you say?
You had an Apple Watch 1.0.
That's true.
And you had the original Whoop. And I can speak from experience now. The new Whoop is better. But you do have experience with all of them. I just want to throw out the disclaimers before you go any further.
Yes, but we also just covered my Garmin is 5 years old.
Okay, so you have a bunch of old data to report on. Maybe we should have thought through this a little bit more before we recorded.
We just need to have a wearables budget from Garage Gym Athlete for us coaches, and then we can really dive in.
So we can update our wearables once per year, maybe like an allowance. Okay,
yeah,
think about it.
Put it in the budget. Anyway, so I'm wearing a Garmin Fenix 5X, and I used to have the Whoop and the Apple Watch. The reason why I moved to Garmin is because I wanted a really accurate GPS and a better battery life, and something that's much better for during my workouts. Like when I'm not working out, I mean, I just use it for the time. I don't really use it for anything else because I don't really want a smartwatch or smartwatch features. I always have my phone with me, so I'm going to text there. I'm not going to have a phone conversation through my watch either, like I'm on Star Trek. But I wanted a accurate GPS tracker because I fought with the old Apple Watch way too much and map my run way too much. It would, like, when technology fails, it completely destroys my workout. I just get pissed and walk home.
I've had that happen. I mean,
I
don't walk off. I do the workout, but I just do the workout without tech.
Yeah. Usually it happens when I'm already pretty far away. So it's like, well, I have to run back at least, but it just still ruins it. So I'm with the Garmin. Now, the shortcomings are heart rate monitor. It was a big one that I noticed doing a lot of, whether it's strength or rowing, it doesn't keep up with. Usually if you just run, it's fine. And hike, it's really accurate, stuff like that. But once I got the chest strap, the Garmin chest strap, where they get the blue one, whatever the one that is, the heart rate's fantastic. You just have to remember to wear that, which I don't always all the time, but ones that I care for, especially like zone 2 stuff, I wear that and it's great. So that's just me about the Garmin, at least. Okay.
Ashley, you have the newest tech available, really. So Apple Watch 5.0, what are your thoughts?
So besides Saturday, I've previously had no issues with either of my Apple Watch 2.0 and then this 5.0. I don't know what it was. I mean, it was just doing that little heart thing over and over and over again. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wear it and hopefully see if it actually tracked my data. And then anyways, but I like the Apple Watch because I liked the different workout settings. So it potentially tracks your heart rate. I set in kind of the correct zone, but like, for example, if you're doing core training or flexibility or yoga or whatever it is, it doesn't expect your heart rate to get too high, right? So I like that part of it. And then I like having the timer on as well as my intervals. I have that all on my watch. I don't bring my phone out with me anymore, which is great. And so I can go on a run. I can do what I need to do as well as have my music on, which has been a game changer for me. And I typically write my workouts out for that. And then I like that the Apple Watch talks with the Zone app. And I've been using the Zone app a lot just to look back and see like where my heart rate is. And unlike Joe, I kind of like having the feature of I do get notified for things that I want to be notified for. You know, if you guys Slack me or whatnot, I can look on my watch and be like, are they just bantering or is this actual, work or what are we doing here? And with having a kid, I leave my phone, I can't tell you how many times in the day. I like put it random places. I leave it in my closet or leave it in the bathroom. And then halfway through the day, I'm like, I haven't even looked at my phone, and I ping it because I'm like, where the heck is it? So for that reason, it's nice because then people can get a hold of me if they need to. But yeah, I've liked it. I have not tracked, like I said, my sleep. I'm looking into that, and that's kind of part of my point. I'm actually looking into the Whoop, but I'm going to let you talk all about the Whoop. So yeah, that's my opinion on Apple Watch. I like it.
My Garmin does get notifications, and I do see some pop up. I just don't have a lot enabled, and it's more of a okay, I see it, and then I can go find my phone, but I won't respond for it or anything like that.
Okay, so just to recap, Joe, the main thing you were looking for was inter-workout or intra-workout functionality. Yeah, just it works better for while you're actually training.
Yep.
And Ashley, you like the integration it has with other apps, and I mean, you like the watch feature, all the other features, but what else was it about just the
heart rate during training?
The what?
Heart rate during training, as well as timers and my interval stuff. All on just the watch.
So primarily for both of you is like during the workout type stuff is why you like the Garmin and why you like the Apple Watch. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. That's good. It helps me in my brain. So I have a lot of experience with the Apple Watch 4.0. There's my disclaimer for my experience with the Apple Watch. And I really do love the Apple Watch. I think that it's super accurate on its heart rate data. I think the sleep tracking is pretty weak. Even I tried all the different apps, and compared to something like the Whoop, it just doesn't seem to be anywhere close. Like some of the different sleep apps I would try, it would just be like, you slept perfectly, from like whenever you fell asleep to whenever you woke up. I'd be like, that's not helpful data. Like that doesn't help me at all. Not that you need to really jump, as long as you're getting much sleep, like how much further do you need to jump into those things? But for me, I'm interested in stuff like that. So it's kind of weak on the sleep tracking, but it's great on the in-workout type stuff because it's got a watch face. You can see those things. So does the Garmin. That's the biggest con about a Whoop is it doesn't have that watch face. Also, the tracking, the GPS has gotten light years better since Joe had it. And that's another reason I like the Apple Watch is because, like Ashley said, I could go for a run and it would track GPS, or I can be on my bike and I don't need my phone. And like it knows how fast I'm going and my current pace, and I can just see those things. And that's really, really helpful information, like for on the fly training. I don't really have any negatives other than the sleep thing with Apple Watch. And I'm hoping that in 6.0 or whatever, that I hope that they update that. The battery would be a con to me. It is something, I don't know if the 5.0 is any different, but it is basically you have to charge it every day and a half, I would say. Maybe I just did it every night, but it would technically last a little bit longer than that. So that's the only annoying part I found.
10 days.
What? 10 days?
10 days.
So I upgraded to the Whoop 3.0, and I'll talk about why. I'll also talk about my gripes with the Whoop. So I did the 3.0 just because I wanted newer technology. I thought it might be better. I was using the Whoop 2.0 a little bit before this cycle started and into the first week. And I did notice how much different the heart rate tracking was than my Apple Watch. I would be on my bike for something like steady state, and it would like just drop. Like randomly, the Whoop 2.0 would be like, say my heart rate is 60 beats per minute. I haven't changed anything. I'm still moving at the same pace. And then it'd be like that for like 30 seconds. And then it would shoot back up to, 140. So I'm back in zone 2 or close to it, and it's like, this is really annoying. And I didn't remember that being a problem when I used to wear a Whoop. And that was never a problem with Apple Watch. And now Whoop 3.0, it's not a problem. Like I haven't had that happen one single time. Another thing, Joe, I haven't had happen with the new Whoop is whether I'm doing the dishes or cooking or whatever, I haven't got an activity reading saying that I had something happen when something didn't happen. So that hasn't happened yet. I'm only I think about 2 weeks into Whoop 3.0, but I haven't had that happen. So they corrected that issue.
That's some vigorous dish scrubbing.
Yeah, that's what it would happen. It would be like, you just did a workout. It'd be like, no, we didn't.
my cooking strength score would be higher than my strength day sometimes.
Yeah. Swedish
chefing it up in here.
I think they fixed that problem. I haven't had it happen since. And I've been doing all my normal chores and activities. So now why I like Whoop. Whoop does 3 things. Whoop reports recovery. Whoop reports strain, so how much you worked or how hard your cardiovascular load was in a day, and it tracks sleep. I love the sleep tracking. I love the strain tracking. I think the recovery score is garbage. And so that's something that people should know. Like, and this has been my opinion. It's been developing over a long period of time. So I need to talk about it for a second. The recovery feature, your recovery score, is my least favorite thing about Whoop, just because I don't get it. Like, I want to talk to them about it a little bit more, but they take an average of your resting heart rate and an average of your heart rate variability over a 60-second time period during your last phase of deep sleep. So that's how they do it. The reason they do that is they say that provides consistency in their reporting. So they say, like, if you just random HRV like the Apple Watch is not helpful. That's not helpful either. So you do want a consistent reading of HRV. But to me, my last phase of deep sleep is at different points of the night, every single night. And so I don't see how that's it's like maybe physiologically consistent with some sort of sleep schedule, but it's not really consistent. So like an example for this past week, it said my resting heart rate was 52 and my heart rate variability was like 72. And it gave me like a middle of the road score. And I was like, 52 is like a little bit high. That seems weird. And you can look at every minute of data over across 24 hours with Whoop. And while I was sleeping, my heart rate got down to 41, 42 for long periods of the night. Like, that's pretty low. And then I checked my heart rate variability with Apple Watch that morning, because you can do it on demand with the Apple Watch. And my heart rate variability was triple digits. And so I'm like, and it's been like that forever. And this is why I hate Whoop's recovery score. Like, so many people who use Whoop are in love with that feature. They're like, I'm green today. Like, I'm yellow. Like, I'm red or whatever. Like, the only thing that I've seen consistent with Whoop is red recovery. Like, when your body is really tanking, those red recovery scores with Whoop seem to be very accurate. But otherwise, with green and yellow, doesn't make sense. I've PR'd things on a red day. I've PR'd things on a green day. I've had crappy green days. Like, I haven't seen any correlation personally with Whoop's recovery stuff and anything else. But I still bought their new product because I don't think anybody does strain or cardiovascular load better than Whoop. And I don't think anyone other than maybe Oura Ring tracks sleep better than Whoop. And so those things are really, really important to me. But I hate the recovery thing. I think it's dumb. So, yeah,
I think I remember when I had it, I took it with a grain of salt, an asterisk of, oh, cool, I got a 66 today. It's still a normal day for me. I mean, there's after days of when I would drink or, do red eye flights, I would be in like the single digit %, which was, that's pretty accurate. But it's still on average day to day, it's like I might notice a small trend, but it wasn't a huge difference. I paid attention more to heart rate variability and resting heart rate.
Oh, and it's heavily weighted towards heart rate variability, because I could have like a 45 resting heart rate, sleep 9 hours, but then have like a low heart rate variability, and they'd be like, oh, you don't have very good recovery today. I'm like, I don't believe you. Like, no, that's not true, because my heart rate variability, if you've been tracking a lot, and I've tracked it a lot, is a very sporadic metric, like a very sporadic metric. I could have a heart rate variability in the middle of the day at 8, and then I can have one later in the day at 200. Like, it's all over the place sometimes.
And I think where that gets touchy, dicey, dangerous, whatever you want to say, is if people don't really understand that. Like, Jared, you are looking at the overall data, and then they get this recovery score, and then they're like, well, I'm not going to work out because it's a red day.
Right.
Well,
that's my problem with it. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Or, oh, I'm great, I'm in the green, I can work out. But in actuality, they might actually be more towards the yellow, and you just don't really know. I don't know.
Yeah. And we had an athlete post who was like, he had like a 98% recovery. He did the hard to kill track. And then he was like, he wanted to go for like an additional 5-mile run because he wanted to take advantage of his green recovery. And I'm like, I don't know if that's how it works. Like, that's how Whoop says it works, but I don't know if that's how it works. But it might be more helpful. Here's my asterisk, like, for a more serious athlete. So for someone who trains 3 and 4 times a day, and I don't want to say that Whoop is only for super serious athletes, because I don't think that's true with how much other important data they have. But that recovery score, I think, might be better for a professional athlete, because I do think if you are pushing your body that hard all the time, every day, those readings might be more valuable, but I haven't seen them be valuable or influence any of my decisions in my training schedule. And one thing Whoop has, I did pull up one study. Whoop was like, yeah, you guys are great on sleep, are pretty good on sleep within a certain degree of consistency, and even in the sleep stages, that's good. Now there's another one, and Whoop references it about this female basketball team and how they all used Whoop and what they pulled from that. And I haven't seen if Whoop kind of like runs away with what the actual findings were, but the actual conclusion to the study was they found out, and the players were, like I said, wearing Whoop to report this data, that when there was an increase in resting heart rate and HRV was low, that there was an increase in percentage of the time spent in slow wave sleep. They didn't correlate anything to Whoop, recovery score, heart rate variability. Like what they said was, if you have a high resting heart rate and a low heart rate variability, it seems that your body needs and gets more slow wave, more deep sleep. That's kind of what the conclusion of the study was, not your red, green, or yellow. And that's a big thing that Whoop, I think, has taken away from that. And so how do you, if you have a really hard training day, how do you go get more slow wave sleep? Well, you can't really force your body to do that. So all you can do is go get sleep. Like go sleep. I think Whoop needs to inverse their algorithm because right now I feel like it's 70% heart rate variability, 15% resting heart rate, and 15% sleep. I think it should be 70% sleep and then 15 split between heart rate variability and resting heart rate, if not less on HRV. And I'm happy to have a conversation with them about that. Anyway, all the other things, awesome. I love the in-app tracking with Whoop, and I love the sleep, but I don't like the recovery stuff. So, and I will say, I do think overall Apple Watch is probably the best one. If they had some sort of built-in and like tested sleep algorithm, I would give them the gold medal for sure. All right. I finally got all that off my chest.
It sounds like you need to build your own wearable.
Well, I feel like I just need to like build my own recovery score because theirs isn't cutting it for me. Yeah. And I mean, we've Dr. Allison Brager, we had her on the Better Humanology podcast a few times, super smart. Like I had conversations with her about, she thought heart rate variability tracking in general was trash. She was like, don't ever like let a heart rate variability measure tell you when and when you shouldn't train. Like just go off of how you feel that day. Like that's going to be the most important metric you can track. And I was like, yeah, I completely agree with that.
So we want to talk about the winner?
Yes, totally forgot. Here we go. All right. So I put in a poll to see what all the Garage Gym athletes were wearing and what their comments were. So if you're in our Garage Gym athlete group, it is the exclusive group for people who are subscribing. But I'll kind of give you the results. There were 81 comments as of recording this. There were probably more because this has only been live for a little over 24 hours. So we had people vote, and 12, 13, 14, 15, 115 people voted for Garmin. That's what they're currently winning, and that was the top of our list right now. 93 people Apple Watch, 30-ish for Fitbit, another 30-ish but less than Fitbit for Whoop, about 13 or 14 people for Polar, and then let's see, there were like 4 people for the Oura Ring, and then about 10 people who wear something else that I'm not familiar with. So Garmin is the top, which actually surprised me. I didn't know, but I mean, Garmin has so many different models, right? But Garmin in our community is what most people are wearing. I will say that in our Whoop group, there are 60 athletes for Garage Gym Athlete, and only 25, 27, 8 people voted for Whoop. So I don't know if they switched or they're just...
Well, like me, I'm in the group still.
They didn't see the poll. Yeah, but a lot of people are still reporting data. Maybe people are just like me. Like I voted for Apple Watch, even though I have the Whoop, because I think for suggesting for somebody else, if someone were to ask me what should I get, I'd be like, you should probably get an Apple Watch. But yeah,
so I think Garmin also won because if you have an Apple Watch, you have to have an Apple phone, and there's Android users that are just led astray in life, but that's fine.
I always forget that Android exists. You're right. Yeah, that's probably it.
But I do have some closing, I guess, advice on people that are trying to pick one. And it's going to be 100% subjective. I think you have to, at least what I did when I kind of wanted to make a switch as well, is write down like three to five features that you actually want to track, you want to use this for. What are you going to use this wearable for? And then write down maybe 2 or 3 things that you might not like about certain wearables if you use one, or if you just think you might not like it. And then there's like YouTube channels that actually compare these and test all of these out. And I watched a ton of YouTube videos. I think Riz Knows is one channel, and there's a couple other channels that they get companies actually send these to them, and they stress test them. They test everything that there is, all of the features, what they do and don't like about them, and then just pick which one works best for you. And the reason why Garmin works so much for me now is because I had 18 months of Whoop tracking. So I know how to recover now. I know what recovery to do, this, that, and the other. I've also prioritized sleep. So like recovery wise, I don't need to benefit from that anymore. I'd rather have the in-workout functionality and the watch that way. Apple's probably the most broad out of all of them, which is still good for a lot of things, but and more versatile. But it's just whatever works best for you and what you're trying to get the most out of.
Yeah, and because I kind of summarized, you guys were in-app in-workout tracking. So for me, it's almost the opposite of that. It's like I want a whole day picture a better whole day picture to include sleep and my overall strain or cardiovascular load for the day. So yeah, basically the opposite of what you guys want. And not that I use a regular watch for all of my, you talk about getting pissed off at technology. Me trying to set up intervals on anything, like whether that's an app or, super pissed off. I'm like, I can't, I hate it. And then if I set it up wrong, and then it's like, I'm in the workout, I'm like 30 seconds into an interval, and then it's like, 5-second rest period. I'm like, that was supposed to be a minute. Like, damn it. So I literally, I'm the least complex when it comes to setting these things up. Most of the time, I just ballpark it in my head. So I'll start a running timer on a watch and like, okay, I'm going to stop at 30 seconds. Okay, I'm going to go at a minute. Like that's how I do most of my intervals. I just do it in my head on the fly like that, which I think would drive some other people insane who love to have the perfection.
I do love Garmin's intervals.
Yeah, I'm sure it's great. I've never experienced it though. Maybe I'm thinking about the Oura Ring. So I talked about, and this will just be real brief, but like the recovery score, I think the Oura Ring may have that better figured out than Whoop. Because I think that they're taking long-term averages over the night of things like resting heart rate and your body temperature and heart rate variability, long-term averages over the night, and then they give you a readiness score that next day. So I think Oura Ring, just from what I know about that, may be superior to Whoop in that whole like, how ready are you for today? But the reason I haven't pulled the trigger on the Oura Ring is it counts steps and like whether or not you're active in a day, but it basically has no workout tracking at all. And it's really just the sleep master. Like that's what it's known for. You can go to their website and it's the first thing it's going to start talking about is sleep. And I don't only want a really good sleep tracker. Like I want something a little bit more than that. If they did a little bit more, I would definitely be on the Oura Ring train. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Yeah,
I actually looked into that earlier today because I'm like, well, since Garmin is all about workout, not so much about recovery, I think an Oura Ring would be a good combo pair that I would only wear when I sleep. And then I saw the price point and I'm like, well, I don't know if I really want to pay for that just to wear something.
Is it a subscription or a one-time fee?
I think it's one-time fee, unlike
I actually
Whoop.
think that the Oura Ring's maybe the most affordable wearable we've discussed. I mean, I know it's still kind of expensive, but compared to a Whoop, compared to an Apple Watch, compared to a ridiculous Garmin, like, I mean, I can't even believe how expensive some of those Garmins get. Like four digits in some cases. But the Oura Ring's like $280 or something, $300.
Yeah, but it's only going to do your recovery and your sleep. So that's why it's like very limited. So maybe down the road, it'd be good to pair with Garmin. But
yeah, like I think I might end up trying an Oura Ring eventually, but yeah, not right now. I think it looks pretty cool though. I mean, I'm not wearing my wedding band half the time, so I don't know if it would be good to. I'm not good with rings. Anyway, the workout. Who wants to brief it?
I'll do it for a change.
All right.
Old McDonald.
Had a farm.
I also was the brainchild behind this one, somewhat. So you're going to start with a buy-in of 100-meter plate pinch carry. I believe that was just one plate. It's just the one plate that you're using for this entire thing. And you can change hands as you go. Then after you do your 100-meter plate pinch buy-in, there is an 18-minute max distant plate carry. And you're going to take that same plate and with two hands, walk as far as you can in 18 minutes. So 9 minutes out, 9 minutes back. And there's extra details on that when we have a video, but you can't put it on your shoulders. You have to have two hands on it at all times. It can't go above your head, basically in between your collarbone and your waist is how you're going to do it, two hands at all times. So 18 minutes max plate carry for that. Then you get into the middle of the workout, and it is an 18-minute, as many reps as possible of 10 burpees over the plate, 10 ground to overhead with the plate. So you're going to tap the plate on the ground, then pick it all the way up overhead, and then tap on the ground, and so on. 10 Russian twists each side with the plate, and then one plate flip, which you're basically just gripping one end of the plate and then flipping it in there, like kind of like a coin, but
And catching it. Don't break your toes.
yes. It's slightly optional, but yeah.
So let's just go ahead and say optional. If you're
Yeah.
if you practice before the workout and you can't catch the plate flip, then just go ahead and cut that out.
I can't answer you why we put that in there, but it's
For style point.
Yeah. So that's 18 minutes of that for those reps. And then you go back to basically undo what you did before, 18-minute max distance plate carry, two hands on it, and then cash it. And then the final 100-meter plate pinch carry. So that's one hand on the plate at a time. A lot of grip, a lot of farmer.
Should have called this one Love Your Plate.
Yeah,
Ugh.
basically.
Or Clean Your Plate.
Plate paradise.
Oh.
Hey, she liked it. Yeah.
B minus.
All right. I don't tips. I've only done
Choose
this
wisely
one.
on your plate.
Yeah, I've only done this
some of
one
them-
once, and
Yeah, some plates have a good lip, others don't.
yeah, it's not a meet yourself Saturday like some other ones, like a Condition Me to the Grave or Fat and Sugar, where like, you're going to be so taxed cardiovascularly that you just like don't know what to do with yourself. You're just going to lose your grip, and that's going to kind of piss you off. Like, and just so people know, when we do, or in general, when I program a Meet Yourself Saturday workout, I'm thinking about the little things too that might piss you off. Like Fat and Sugar and Zone 2 Murph, I'm completely aware that your technology might fail on you during the workout. Like completely, because it happens to me in testing it. And I'm like, oh, that's really pissing me off. I'm like, this is great. And so some of those things are in there intentionally. Like I want to see if I can get you frustrated because your technology is not working, or like all these other things. And this one, you're just like not going to be able to use your fingers anymore. And you're gonna be like, this is dumb. Like I'm not even breathing hard. And it's like, exactly. But you're pissed off. Like figure it out. Like relax. So I would say, pick your plate wisely and just know what's going to happen when you go in. It's not going to be like this ridiculously taxing one, but it'll still be frustrating.
This is when I wish I had 15-pound plates. I don't have 15 pounds. I'm going to try the 25 beforehand, but
Nice.
that's my little tiny hands. We'll see how this goes. But I like the meat of the workout, like the middle. I think that would be a lot of fun if it was just that. So, but that's exactly what I said. I said, I think you're going to meet yourself during the 18-minute max. Blech.
Yeah.
I want to see
like-
some videos of plate flips.
And it's just like the Iron Mile where you're like, this is fine. It's whatever. And then you get out at the half mile point and you're like, this is really just stupid.
Yeah.
And that's what happens during if it doesn't happen to you in the first 18-minute max distance plate carry, like it might happen in the second one, you'll just be like, okay, this is dumb. Like, I don't know why I'm doing this anymore. And you have officially gotten to where we want you to get. So
Also, a lot of people should be able to do this because all you need is one plate.
yeah.
True.
Can they use anything else, Joe? Because we get questions like that.
That's true. I have no idea.
What else
rock.
could you use?
Like a light dumbbell? I don't know. Could you pinch the...
Nah.
No? Okay.
If you want to carry a
Could you
dumbbell
flip
without,
the dumbbell?
you could. And if you want
Yeah.
to carry a dumbbell without like the handle, some you can do that.
I got into some kettlebell flipping a little bit on my off days last year.
Ooh.
you can put some holes in walls and stuff real fast if you miss.
It's like holes in yourself.
It's good. Like it's good until you miss. It's like, it looks really cool. You're like flipping a kettlebell and catching it. And then eventually you're like, oh, dang, just dropped it on top of my foot. So just be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what else you could use.
Yeah. I don't think you could. So is that's our official answer? No, you can't use anything else.
Yeah.
Do a different workout. All right. That's it for this wearables episode plus a Meet Yourself Saturday. Hopefully that this information has been helpful. If you guys want to support what we're doing, head over to garagegymathlete.com, sign up for a 14-day free trial. That way we can keep bringing you awesome podcasts like these. We're really diving into things and trying to provide as most helpful information possible. And it's not like you're donating the money, guys. Like if you sign up for a trial and you end up a paying subscriber, we're going to take care of you to the best of our ability, through coaching, through advice, through the community, through the programming. Like programming is my favorite part, but I think most everyone sticks around for the community. Because if all I did was write really good programming that was effective, I still don't think that, we would be successful. It's definitely the community. It's everybody who's listening to this right now. It's everyone who's interacting in our groups, socially. That's the best part of what we're doing. And if you haven't seen it, there's only one way to see it. That's to join. So go sign up for a 14-day free trial if you haven't. We'd love to have you in the community, ask questions, and help you out. There are no trolls or jerks. We don't allow them in the community. We throw them out and ban them and let them know they're not welcome here. So it's like the lunk alarm.
What?
Joe knows what the lunk alarm is.
Yeah,
So
Planet Fitness.
Planet Fitness has the
drop of weights, or if you grunt at all, there's literally an alarm that goes off, and you set off the lunk alarm because you're not allowed to do that at Planet Fitness.
So you are allowed to drop your weights in our community, but we have like a no bro science, don't come here with your condescending attitude type lunk alarm within our community. So you can ask the questions that you want to ask. You can have fun and be playful and also find some accountability. But I've been in a lot of fitness communities, even some online, and like there's some bros out there. We don't have a lot of those. Do we have any? I can't. None come to mind. Joe, he's like, he's interacted with too many people.
Not a closed one, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. That's it, guys. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you are enjoying everything we're doing, please leave a 5-star review. Positive comment goes a long way in helping other people find the show. But that's it for this week.
Thanks for listening to the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. If you want to learn more, go to garagegymathlete.com. You can learn about our training. Let us send you a copy of our book, The Garage Gym Athlete, or you can even get featured on the Garage Gym Athlete podcast. Thanks for listening.